Hi, welcome to another Infinity Train video. In this video we are going to look at the Losblock living cell apartment blocks. So they build different modules that form their living cell range. So firstly, just a little bit about ourselves. So we're the Infinity Train YouTube channel. There's also a Facebook group. You'll find the links below. There's a few thousand members to it. So there's a lot of people that contribute to the community, post up pictures of their own boards, discuss terrain elements. One of the key things about Infinity is how do you lay out an Infinity board? What's the sort of density, that sort of information. So some of that's often covered in the discussion topics on the Facebook group, but also we'll be doing some videos on that at some stage. We'll be doing a video at some stage of the sort of typical boards that we use at the event, local to myself, the Infinity Northern Open. Typically we have about 26 to 30 players, so we generally have between 14 and 15 tables. So we've got a lot of variety there and a lot of different manufacturers that we use. Now, this has been purchased by ourselves, by myself. It's basically for a board that I'm building, ultimately for the, again, for that Infinity Northern Open group. So the board will basically appear at a future event, probably not the next one in August because still a bit more work to do, but possibly the one in November. So, Losblock are a Russian company. They have a wide range of buildings. You've seen us cover some of their stuff on the videos before. They're very modular in that the sizes are kept very similar. So, for example, if you had the modular building, the rectangular one, it's the same sort of footprint that goes on here. They all have these little tabs here to add accessories such as staircases, corridors, walkways, etc. can be added on to join buildings together. So, let's talk a little bit about their living cell range. Firstly, their living cell range comes in three different types of buildings and two different types of angle, effectively. So this is the ground floor of the main living cell one. Now, these areas here that are open would typically be filled with acrylic, but obviously because I've not painted it yet, I won't be permanently putting the acrylic in. So literally, there's a little slot here, you just slide the acrylic in and it sits there. And there's various other bits and pieces that are scattered around to do the different design of these buildings. Now, they also come with little sort of shutters that you can just sit in and block off some of the windows if you don't want to have all of the windows open. So this is typically what one of the ground floor acrylic versions look like, and I will show you a fully painted version of this that I've kitted out with some other accessories. It's actually the final version for the board towards the end of this video once we've covered the basic layouts of these. So if you scroll around, you can see we have the doors on either side. And we have plenty of windows, and again this bit here would be blocked, this bit here would be blocked, and there would be a set of doors in here. So this is the ground floor of the version that comes with a lot of the acrylic, so generally you would have to paint this separately. You also need to paint these little bits here separately, so these basically slide out, and when you come to paint the doors, you insert the doors in between. So you paint the doors separately, paint this little piece separately, slide it in, and then glue it afterwards, and then you end up with a sliding door that will work fine. So as I mentioned, this is a ground floor piece. Let's look at the upper floor piece of the same idea. So this is the upper floor piece for the same sort of layout. So again, it would have a lot of acrylic in here, basically. So it's kind of like the as if it was a luxury apartment style of building, effectively. And again, all of these things stacked together. You will need to remember to order the right pieces, though, because obviously the upper floors have a slightly different combination when they come to click in. They obviously don't have this ground bit. They have the clips for the upper floor bit. So if you want to order the right bit, you can't, for example, put normal pieces on top of upper floors. They just won't fit and clip in properly. Now, similarly, there's another part of the range that they added much more recently, which is basically their solid wall version. So again, it's the same sort of footprint, it just doesn't have the acrylic in it. So this is nice if you want to have a central floor which isn't accessible, or you want to have a floor which is accessible but maybe has a lot more cover on it, so there's not as many places to shoot in or out. This is kind of the piece there. And you can see in this one I've left the doors in, it's not been glued in yet, but you can see the doors slide quite happily in between out. And again, this piece here will be painted separately and just glued in afterwards to secure the doors. So similarly, there's another door around this side, and the doors just slide quite easily, and I'll show you that in the painted version so you can see how well the doors still slide in the painted version. So again, if we took this piece here, this is the ground floor piece, what we could do then is if we add on the first floor, and as you see that clips in nicely, and then let's just go a little bit higher again. So let's just go a little bit further on the video so you guys can see this. So again, you can then go up to a higher level again. I don't think I can zoom out any further, unfortunately, on the angle that I've got the camera set to at the moment. But you can see there that you've got this combination where you could obviously swap these two around. This bit needs to be got at the bottom. There is a variant of the solid ones which goes on the bottom as well. So if you wanted some solid on the bottom, you've got that variant available to you if you need it. And you can see you've got various different options to allow the different catwalk pieces and other options to come along. So let's look at, oh yeah, one last piece. There is obviously a roof piece as well. So again, you want to order enough roof pieces that you've got for the top. So if I just take, you can see the roof piece there. So let's look at one that I've actually painted up then. So this is one of the pieces that we're doing for the Infinity board that I'm building at the moment. So firstly, this is not all LOS block stuff. So the sign here, this piece here, is from Antonosity's workshop. It's part of one of their billboard ranges. Similarly, these little sign pieces in acrylic here are from Micro Art Studios. And there's also a load of internal resin that I've taken from Antonosity's workshop to make it look like a proper, a real shop, effectively. So there's some shelving in there, there's a till point, etc. So this is as I mentioned, this is the variant which has actually got the acrylic already in it. So you can see the acrylic nicely slides in once you've painted your design. You've got the acrylic here. The doors slot in and continue to open. So obviously you can open them and leave them open if you want, or you can make it an action to open them, depending on how you want to play the game. Now, as I mentioned, I've added some Micro Art Studio little sort of side billboard pieces. They're actually designed for their apartments, but I think they work quite well here. And all I've done is I've drilled in some 3mm magnets. So you can see the 3mm magnets are here on the edge and here. So they actually just slot into the gaps where the MDF would have normally went. And then all I've done is I've drilled in a couple of 3mm magnets here. So I've now got easily transportable without them breaking off adds boards on the side. Now this piece here is actually from Losblock, so it's one of their venting pieces. Similarly, this piece in here, the electric conduit piece, is also another one of the Losblock pieces. And again, this little block here on the roof is an Losblock piece. And then on the interior, you've got these shelves here, which are from one of the Antonosity workshops interior resin kits for one of their own buildings, but I've obviously just bought the resin separately and used it on one of these kits instead. Again, there's a till point and a sort of cash machine sort of equivalent. Again, if we look at the doors, so here's the doors now painted, and you can see it still slides nice and easily back and forwards. And then there's another one around here. So again, you can either start doors closed, or you can leave them open, or you can make it an action to open them and close them, etc. Just flip this back on. So let's put the roof on. So again, the roof sits on nicely. Now at the moment I've got one piece of cover, which is really this and the sign at the front. I might add something like extra cover on it, I haven't decided yet, because the lips on these buildings are actually quite low. I mean, you could go prone behind that, but the lips themselves are quite low for it to get cover for anything else. I might add some of the LOS billboard range, which wasn't out when I actually ordered this stuff. Just put that down. So hopefully you found this video useful. I'm really impressed with the kit so far. It painted really well. As far as painting goes, it was black Vallejo airbrush primer. So through an airbrush, single coat onto the MDF. Then I went to greys, and then I basically used the colours. So from either from the Game Air or the Model Air range, brought the colours up, masked off some of the areas, added the acrylic, glued it in place, and finished it off. I'm really pleased with the way this particular building's come out. Similarly, I'll be doing a lot more like this quality for the whole board. I'll be interested to see what it looks like when we finished it, and I'll do some videos on that once the board's actually finished. But you'll get to see through these videos different bits as it goes along, as we use different manufacturers' terrain to build up the board. So hopefully you found this video useful. If you did, please add some comments either to the YouTube video or to the Facebook comments. Again, you can find links to both Losblock in the links below. You can also find links to our Facebook channel, so feel free to join there and see a lot more notifications when we add these videos or information about them. Similarly, if any manufacturers wanted us to review components that we've not actually got in that we've bought ourselves yet, then feel free to contact us and we'll see what we can do there. What I'm going to end on is I'm just going to set up some rotational shots of the buildings and leave the video ending on that, so you guys can see some of the rotational angles of the different pieces.